Hi, welcome to the new episode of Sportsy LetsAIMSports. Today we have with us Aditi Mutatkar, an Indian badminton player from Pune, Maharashtra. She won the silver medal in mixed team event in 2010 Commonwealth Games held in Delhi. She reached her highest rank of 27 in the world when she registered her career best performance of reaching the finals of Bitburger Open. In the domestic circuit, she has won the Badminton National in all age categories, and she was the only third woman to do that. And now there are only four women after previously winning all the categories across nationals. So please welcome the winner of 5 national badminton championship, the girl who has represented Indian badminton team in multiple international tournaments, a silver medalist and a bronze medalist across multiple occasions at international championship. Only the second Indian woman to have played the Grand Prix final in 28 after Saina Nehwal. The girl who had amazing rivalry with Saina Nehwal throughout her career, the girl from Pune, Aditi Mutatkar. Hey Aditi, great to have you on a platform, Sportsy Let's Aim Sports, where we talk about the inspiring, and motivating stories and journeys of amazing athletes like you. So great to have you here.
Thank you. Thank you so much, Siddharth. I look forward to our chat today.
Yeah, and believe me, I'm looking forward to this chat. It's not only about a game which I love the most, badminton. It is about as we spoke, I've seen you playing probably in your teen school days at the same WRE complex in Pune. But from there to your amazing journey in badminton to retiring from the sport at an amazing level, at the same time coming back to sports and delivering. So I think that is what we want to capture over next 25-30 minutes of chat. So
Yes.
for our viewers, we have Aditi Mutatkar with us. She is a professional Indian badminton player, ex-professional Indian badminton player from Pune, Maharashtra. One of the achievement that we everybody heard about her is won the silver medal in the mixed team event in 2010 Commonwealth game in Delhi, which was like it's a great achievement for getting that kind of medal in India when the game
Yeah,
happened.
that was
Um,
special. Yes.
yeah, and from there to thing that everybody knows about is the amazing tussle or the on-field rivalry with Sania. And from there, the journey that continued beyond sports to give it back. So Aditi, while we talk about all these things, first question that I have for you is, how did badminton occur, or how did badminton start for you?
Yes, so I think with badminton, it was my father mainly. He used to play, badminton as a hobby, and and I was generally an hyperactive kid, and my parents thought that sport could be a way to kind of calm her down a little bit. I think, so they would just push me out. I would just go and play cricket with the boys, or I would just go and play football, and yeah, in a similar way, my dad was pretty, and at that time in the he had that Prakash Padukone fever in him also somewhere, right? At that time, that generation kind of relates to
Yeah.
Prakash quite a bit. So he picked it up, and I think with him, he would take me out to play. That's how I picked up the sport, and I think I instantly kind of liked it. My father saw the spark as well, because I would never lose the contact of the shuttle. I would just keep on hitting and hitting. So I think all of these things added up to kind of starting with the sport. And also my mother in her school and college days was an athlete herself. So I think there was that gene thing also a little bit key, hai gene bhi hai, or my father kind of pushed me towards the game a little bit, but I enjoyed it, and I think I think my father was the reason for me to start to play. Yeah.
Yeah, it's good, and I think the Pune weather also helped you. The Pune atmosphere of badminton also probably was a good push in those
So
days, right?
yeah, I mean, actually, I didn't start in Pune. We were in Bombay when I started. I started at the age of 9, and my father worked in Canara Bank all his life, and he had got transferred from Gwalior. So I'm born in Gwalior. We came to Bombay as my father got transferred,
Oh,
and it started in Bombay for me. The weather, is not really marvelous, like in Pune, but it is Pune at that time. I think my parents felt that was a less expensive city in compared to Bombay when it came to kind of professionally kind of playing a sport. So I think at the age of 11, we made like my parents made a conscious decision that we need to move to Pune, because I had started winning quite a bit. Like at the age of 9, I used to play all these under 9, under 10, tournaments, and I was just winning, quite rapidly. So that journey, it was really spiraling, and my parents couldn't, I think keep up with the finances of it, because you take racket, you take one racket, but that's not enough. You need the second racket, and it's just the costs were, I think, piling up, coaching, shuttles, all of those things. Yeah. So I think all in all, they thought that Pune would be a better city in that sense. And that's why I think at the age of 11, we moved to Pune. And then I was in Pune and then in Bangalore. Yeah.
Interesting. And when you just spoke about that at the earliest age, you started winning a lot of things. And we know that you are one of those only 3 women in India who ever won the national across all categories.
Yeah.
So what was that feel, and how were you preparing yourself? Did you even know that, okay, I'm going for this, I'm going to achieve this and go next, or it was just the flow that happening for you?
So firstly, I would like to, correct this, that I'm one of the 4 actually, because after me, there is Sindhu, so there is Aparna Popat, Saina, Aditi and Sindhu. So we have 4 of us who have achieved this feat.
Now 4.
Yeah, now 4. So I mean, again, if you look at these names, these are such special names, such great champions, and to be a part of that list for whatever reason, at least at the national level, it's pretty great. Of course, it's a place of pure privilege for me to, kind of share that space with these amazing athletes and amazing, women athletes. But I think, when you're playing, you don't, I don't think we play to break records, or that's not in your head, because that's just additional pressure. I think with me, at least with me, how it started was that, as I said, I started winning early. So the expectations to be national champion were huge right from the beginning, because it was like, oh, you have to do this. There's no other way, for people or coaches or parents. And for me also, I think in a way, that pressure was, of course, always there. But I never thought that that after, when I look back, I understand that it's special because it's not easy, what it means is that you need to be consistent through the years to kind of achieve something like this. Being a national champion in itself is huge in a country like India, where, there's a major big population that we have. Yeah. But I think, having to do that in every age category, you need to be consistent, and you need to have that willpower, I think, to, go through that journey and persevere and all of those things. So I think I never worked with a goal like that in my head. It was just something that I kept that, it just kept with the flow, I was always India's number 1, 2, 3, for a long time. I think only towards the end of my career, in the last 2-3 years, I dropped to maybe 8 or, 9 in the country. But till then I was always at the top. So it was a very expected thing ki ye to karna hi hai. So yeah, I think I never worked with that in my head, but it was something that I wanted to always achieve. Yes.
Excellent. And when you spoke about, like, okay, it was not added pressure that I were playing, you have to be consistent, but that is a journey about and theme also about our show is aspiration, inspiration, and motivation. So what were those 3 things to you while growing up across every stage?
So I think when I started off, I actually aspired to kind of keep playing. I just loved the sport. I think I loved the sport. I loved the pressure that came with it. I never kind of ran in a corner and said, I can't take this. That never happened to me. I enjoyed it. I enjoyed the whole crowd going against you, and then sometimes the crowd is supporting you. The whole fun of it, right? Yeah. And I started enjoying that from a very young age. But also, of course, with that. I think what kept me moving was having the right kind of people around me. That was one of the inspiration thing that I can probably tell you, that I had Prakash sir at the age of 11 as my coach. And because I had Prakash sir, coming and teaching me how to play a shot, it completely changes the way a young girl, 11-year-old girl, looks at the world of sport, because he was a legend, and when I had that access at such a young age, I think it was super inspiring. And he was very keen on getting me to Bangalore, which was the official center, because we started in Pune with a branch, and that's where I started with the Prakash Padukone Academy. But then as I started playing better and better, he called me to Bangalore, and I kind of started living there. So I think, and when I came to Bangalore, again, I had Gopi Chand and Aparna Popat, and all these were seniors, at that time for me. And I kind of saw them training, and, and they had achieved so much. But never one session did I see them, not giving their best, right? So I think these people at the right age, having those people or having that access at the right age, that was a major inspiration, and when you have All England champion as your coach, being a national champion doesn't count. I mean, it's like you can't be satisfied with something like that, right? So I think that was something that inspired me, having these people around me, I think. And when it comes to motivation, see, I was never somebody who said कि मेरे को जाके a world champion बनना है या All England champion बनना है. I never told myself all those things. I think I always kind of took it one thing, one step at a time. I went from the district to the state to the nationals, and and when I won the national championships, I was like, okay, I'm ready for international. Right. I don't know, maybe that is also the reason that I achieved only what I achieved at the international level. Maybe if I was like, I want to be a world champion, maybe, I don't know, if that would have triggered and, helped me. I'm not sure. But as an athlete, I just absolutely enjoyed being on the court. So it really never mattered, I mean, I just kept at it, and every day was a blessing. So, so I think, just enjoying the sport and having the right people and the right access at the right time. I think all those things helped a lot. Yeah.
Interesting. And I think you put it very well about if it's all England champion, if you're coach, I don't think you can ask for anything else. You have to start striving for more and more. And in that journey, when you represented India for the first time, how was that feel to wear the India jersey and seeing the Tiranga on your back and on your shoulder and the front of the chest?
So I think the first time I wore an Indian jersey was at the age of 14. I was 14, and I was already selected for the junior Indian team, which is the under 19 team, and I was one of the two women singles, girl singles players who was selected. So we had gone for this French junior international tournament, and I remember the whole thrill of it. A passport, visa, and that kit coming from Sports Authority of India with the flag on it, and just all of those things. But I would also say this, that at that time, of course there was excitement and all of that, but badminton was not such a huge sport. I mean, and sports in general was not huge in India at that time when I was 14, right? So I think because of course in the internal circles it was a big deal for my parents or for me myself, but at the external bit of it, it was not okay. I mean, it was not like something that was, like, oh, you're playing for India. I mean, it was not something that was even known about so much at that time, right? But it was amazing. I think when I went, and luckily for me, my first international tournament, I won a bronze medal also. It was my first international, and I remember wearing the bronze medal and the Indian flag going up right in my first junior international tournament. So I think every time, and any athlete will say the same thing, I think every time you stand on the podium and the flag goes up because of you, it is just I mean, that feeling is something that you can't describe, and you have goosebumps, all your hair stands up. It's just something that that you live for. You absolutely live for that.
And that, I think that is what we have heard from every athlete, everybody who has been on the podium. They say that there's no greater feeling than that. And people who have not been on the podium, they said the only dream is to be on the podium. I think that's the whole thing. And I think every athlete lives for those moments. So when you say that, okay, we live for these kind of moments, and you first ever tournament that you had, you got to be on the podium. But were there the pre-match jitters, or in your career, if you had the pre-match jitters, how did you manage that? See, physically, skill-wise, everything was fine, but from the mental side, how did you manage that?
Yeah, so I always felt that pressure was good. I mean, for me at least, having that pressure always helped me perform. And once I accepted that, it became easier. And what we forget also is, and it happens in life also in general. Now, when I work in the corporate and then in the sports ecosystem, I realize this, that what we have to understand is that the other person is as much in pressure as you are. It's equal. ऐसा नहीं है कि सिर्फ आप पे प्रेशर है, दूसरे पे भी उतना ही प्रेशर है परफॉर्म करने का, right? And I heard this somewhere, which is a very interesting anecdote, that when you enter a room as a public speaker, right, what you have to understand is that everybody is insecure in that room, including you. So everybody is insecure and in that room, and that's a human tendency, right? And if you go with that, I think you feel more strength, because everybody suddenly becomes at the same platform, right? I mean, everybody starts from zero. So that was one thing that I understood very early, that the pressure is on both sides, and it is just about who handles it a little better than the other. That is the only distinction, really. And I think just that I also was very good with my temperament, my match temperament especially. And I think that came from the confidence that I gathered with the amount of hard work I put in before. That gives you a lot of confidence. I always was sure that I was, if not the number one hardest worker in the circuit, I was as good as the number one hardest worker in the circuit. So I never doubted my hard work. And I think that showed in the way I performed on the court as well, because I was sure that I wasn't short on the hard work of, if we compare the hard work of my opponent and mine. I always was sure that I was as good, if not better. So that gave me confidence as well. And then when it comes to the actual match situation, I think meditation was something that really helped me. I did a lot of visualization techniques before my matches. Okay. I had a chant, and I did my chanting a little bit, 5 minutes before the match. Also, my whole warm-ups, I was always well known for my warm-ups, because I would warm up for like 45 minutes before the match, physical and mental. And people laughed at that, Are itna garmi hai, why are you warming up for 45 minutes? I said, that's the way I prepare, that's the way I feel confident. So my warm-up was something, I was completely in the zone at least 45 minutes before the match. And other thing was breathing, like having the control of your breathing. That helps a lot. So I think techniques like this, meditation, breathing, and just the also I think I was very good at not giving up. Even at 10-2, when we used to play 11 points game, even at 10-2, I was sure that I could still get a point, whatever, at least I'll work for a point. So all these qualities, I think, helped with performing better at matches. Yeah.
Aditi, you spoke about all these matters, factors, when in the current age, we talk about mental conditioning. But I think when you're talking about 15-20 years back, these were not there were no words like mental conditioning. So how did you learn this? So who did you actually taught you this? Is it like the monk on the badminton court of sir, or somebody else? How did you actually learn this?
Very interestingly, I never had any like professional help when it came to mental conditioning. I had done a session or two with Mr. Bam sir. He's no more. He was one of the pioneers of, mental health in India, I think. But I did a session or two with him as well. But I never had like a proper coach through my career. But I would say that, for example, when I was a junior and I had seen, Gopi, I remember used to go into a room and he would just not come out for an hour. And we all juniors were like, Gopi bhaiya, kya karte rehte hain? We were like always like, he would just go absent. And all the other seniors were having fun with us and, eating and all of that. But this guy would just be in the room for an hour. And then, suddenly when we have finished all the fun, he will come out. So I would ask, kya karte the bhaiya? What are you doing? So, there is, I do some yoga. There is some, something, some kind of breathing, something he would say. And we would just, discount it, yaar, ye sadhu ban gaya, and, something like that. that. But I think the seeds were sown by Gopi in all of us in that academy, because we thought that, okay, there is something that he's doing which is tending to help him. So that was the seed sown, I think. But later on, I think, of course, with the academy, with Prakash Sir's academy, we would have some NLP people, or some people coming giving these talks or something like that. But I would, at that time, 15-20 years back, I think everything was self-learned. I learned everything by myself, which, I mean, we never had a support staff and nutritionist and this and that. I think it was just, the onus was on us. Tumko karna hai, tum karo and aage badho. So I think a lot of that was getting some pointers from our seniors, getting some experts coming and talking to us, or self-learned. So it was a combination of all of that mental conditioning for me at that time.
Yeah, and I think that worked. That really worked. It's like not having the support staff and what you learned yourself. That work you played. You're one of those only women who has played the Grand Prix final from India. And after from there, just want to talk about, since we talk about the mental side of it, and the thing that we always know that you played in the same era and alongside Saina, and it was one of the toughest rivalry that we have seen. That like, who is going higher and lower. Like, I've been a follower of badminton. I always seen that, okay, where is Aditi, where is Saina? And for us, it was fun, but I'm sure as an athlete, it was a different journey for you and as well as her. So how was that period for you, and how did you prepare yourself for the game? Because I read somewhere that you said, okay, probably she was more well gifted than me. I think that is what I read somewhere, but you were equally hardworking. So that you are good. You can do this, but somewhere that thing happened. And yes, in the country like India, when we have handful of players getting recognition, then the whole pressure comes onto these kind of players. How did you manage that period?
It was a tough period, quite frankly, because I mean, the transition from, so as junior, I was 1 and she was 2. I got injured. I lost a year due to the injury. And when I came back, she suddenly had, reached some other level, and she had become 1 and I became 2. And we kind of were together even at the international level. I remember in 2008 or so, I was around 27. She was 16. So till around I think 3-4 years, the fight was pretty much there. I mean, we were around each other. After that, after 2008, she just, went way too higher. And I wouldn't say I was anywhere close in that sense. But at least, yes, for the junior years and senior years of maybe 2-3 of our senior years, we were, up and down. It was a very interesting journey. And I think there was a lot of learning happened from there. The whole the journey of being number 2 in the country, the journey of being number 2 and not being recognized, I mean, because this bar is just set so high that she was winning, but I was in the finals. That didn't count, because you have to also win, otherwise it doesn't count, but you're still at a Grand Prix final. So it was all, all these emotions were real, and they were something that I went through at a very young age as well. So, and I think the people around me actually at that time had not seen a champion like Saina. So they also couldn't understand what exactly was I going through. And I was at that time not able to articulate it as well. I can articulate it today, but I couldn't articulate it at that time, and the comparison was crazy. She was just going so higher and higher. And I was always trying to match, but it was not happening for whatever injuries or whatever skill, whatever that reasons were. But it was, I think, a very interesting journey, and it was absolutely phenomenal to see her grow, because we were in the Indian team together for a very long time, right? So I've seen her win those matches. I've seen that journey of Saina from a junior Indian player to what she became, right? So seeing that so closely was a privilege again, I think. But as an athlete, for me at that time, it was, I was completely, mesmerized with this whole thing. And you can't be like that, because as a competing athlete, you cannot make idols of your competition. You can't do that. Respect is one thing, but you can't start idolizing these your opponents. And because it was India, and because it was Saina, and Saina was being idolized by every Indian at that time. It was not just me. And the only thing was I was an athlete who was a number 2 at that time. And it meant different things for me than what it meant for a normal layman, right?
Yeah.
So that distinction was very interesting. And going through it has actually reflected in the way I take my decisions today as well. It completely changed my perspective on so many things. And I'm blessed, I think. Okay, I didn't become number 1, but I realized that being number 2 wasn't bad enough. I mean, it was pretty good. I learned a lot from it.
Yeah, I think that is the journey, and finally, the athlete is going to play for a certain number of years, and beyond that,
Yeah.
you are going to have a different kind of life. And what
Yeah.
you learn from that journey is something very,
Yeah.
very important. So, and I think as you candidly said, that whatever the reasons, I think she created a benchmark and she created a name. Then Sindhu came and then
Yeah.
overtook
Over
those
to
things.
her. Yeah.
And that is what the beauty of sport is. That is what the
Yes.
beauty of the competition is. So
Yeah.
is there any particular competition in that you remember that actually changed your life or your perspective about handling things?
Yeah, I would say it was my first Grand Prix final appearance. I think that completely blew my mind because I was not expected to do that. I myself was not I was not expecting to do that, and also the precursor to that the tournament was that the Indian team. The government had decided that they would only send the boys team and not the girls team.
Okay.
So I went alone as a Indian women singles player from India. When the government took their hands off, it meant that I had to finance the whole trip myself. And of course, I didn't have that much money and all of that. So there was running around by my father to try and get a loan from people. And I told them that I want to play, and they bichara, they didn't have a choice, and they started running around for money. And it's not the way it was now, right? The sponsorships and everything were not that easy to find. I never found a sponsor at that time, and somehow we raised that money to play. And I remember I did everything. I did the visa process, I did the bookings for my flights, I did the booking of my hotel, and very interestingly, when I reached Bitburger after all of this, I had put myself up in the official hotel. And I realized on the first night when I was just doing my math, ki paisa bachega ki nahi, because I was supposed to be in Europe for the next 3-4 weeks. And I realized that if I stay in the official hotel, it's going to be so expensive for me that I may not actually land in the last week of things. I will not have money.
Wow. Correct.
So I remember that on the first night, I took a decision that no, I have to find a cheaper hotel, and I have to just, go wherever that is. And then I'll find a way to, reach the venue and all of that. So I took my luggage the next day and I started looking for hotels. And I found this really small 20 euro per day kind of hotel somewhere in the corner. And I was again the only girl. So I was a girl doing all of these things in a in a land where I knew nobody. So this journey, this whole thing, I had gone through all of that before I actually entered the court to play that Grand Prix. And I lived in this small, very badly lit room, which didn't have its bathroom of itself. I actually had a bathroom outside, like a common bathroom, and I would have to access that. And I lived like that in that whole tournament. And I still played the finals. And I had no coach, of course. There was no coach for me because I was not part of the Indian team. I had no support staff, nothing. So I was alone doing all of these things, and I still reached the finals. And I remember I beat, the world number 9 or 8 at that time, Juliana Schenk from Germany, and every athlete from the pre-quarter was highly ranked than me. So it was just upset after upset. So I think when I reached, after doing all of that processes, when I reached the final, it completely changed the way I looked at myself. I think, the self-respect for myself grew, I think, a little bit, because I realized that I can do anything if I set my eyes on it. With less money, staying in a dingy hotel, being the only girl in the team, I can still achieve if I want to achieve things. And again, like I said, all these things now give me so much confidence with the way I lead my life, because I know I can do anything if I want to. So I think that Grand Prix final created history, but it also completely changed my own perspective about myself.
Interesting, and that is so rightly so. It's about the whole struggle is not only on the court, it's off court as well, and people don't understand the off court struggle is more than on court struggle most of the time.
Exactly.
And it's kudos to you for coming out of those. And just one more question about your playing before I move to the other side of it. It's like, Commonwealth 2010, playing in
Yeah.
India, getting a medal in front of your countrymen, all the support, cheering that is happening. Was that the highlight of your career, or is there anything beyond that as well?
No, it is one of the highlights for sure, I think. And of course, playing in Delhi with the whole crowd for you, and also then converting and getting a medal. And of course, in the mixed team event, Saina was our number one player. I played a few matches in the singles, but anyway, being part of that team and getting that medal was huge. But it is, I think, one of the other highlights of my career, I think, because like I said, individually for me, that Grand Prix final, like I just told you, the whole process that went through would always remain the highlight, because I think it completely changed the way I looked at myself. So I think for me, the highlight of my career would always be that Grand Prix final. Yeah.
Very interesting, and I think this also gives us very important message to people, the athlete as well. It is not only about the all that glitter and gold is not what you'll
Yeah.
always look for. It's about the journey and
Yes.
what you learn through the journey. I think that
Yes.
makes you a better player, better human being, and everything. I think that is a very good said.
Yeah.
So Aditi, then you came to the fag end of the career. You have before you were hanging your boots. What was going through your mind when you decided to hang your boots?
Oh, it was major anxiety. I was like, what the hell am I going to do? Because I was just 26 when I quit. And I, of course, had a Bharat Petroleum job, which was, decently paying me and with the benefits and all of that, like we all know. So I had the job. But when I quit, I'm like, so athletes are used to limelight. Athletes are used to a certain, subah utke, this ye karna hai, all of those scheduling and all of that. We are so like schedule crazy. And suddenly when you hang up your boots, you're like, you don't have to get up in the morning. What am I going to do? So I think the first 3-4 months were just crazy. And I remember I decided that, to just get my mind straight, I would travel. And I went for a solo travel to Bhutan, actually. And I spent a week there. And it was just amazing, the most amazing time I ever had, because again, it was solo and I was with my own thoughts and everything. So then I started getting my mind straight about what strategy can I use, what can I do. And I didn't have anybody to help me with that, actually, at that time. I mean, I just had myself and my own belief as to what I want to do. But at that time, I remember I made a plan ki I'll start with some coaching, because everybody was pushing me ki coaching karo and all of that. So I said, okay, I'll try coaching, but I'll keep up with my Bharat Petroleum job. At least let me see what's there in it. And I will see where that journey leads me. And I came back from that holiday. I started with the Bharat Petroleum job. I also did some coaching, and I enjoyed both, actually. But I think after 3 months of Bharat Petroleum, I realized I was in the sales department for oil and gas. And I was like, I don't think I'll be able to do this longer. I don't know the industry well. I don't see the passion. I don't have the passion to, do the sales for oil and gas. I don't understand the diesel and all of those things. So I had a chat with my boss and I said, this is not where I want to go, I think. But of course, I got married. I mean, India mein wo acha hai ki, 27, 28, get married. That's a distraction. And of course, I got married. And I think after the marriage, luckily, my husband was in the US at that time. So we moved. I got a chance to move to US, and I just left everything. I left the job. I left the high paying job, everything, coaching, sub, all plans cancelled. I just said, let's take this risk and see what it brings. And of course, US is a land of opportunity in that way. Reached Dallas, and I was like, I need to get educated. I think that's something that I need to do, because I left my bachelor's. It had been 2-3 years of a gap after my education. And I always had the inclination to read, and I was academically pretty good, all my athlete life as well. So I got into a course which was into public administration and non-profit management, public policy, all these subjects, which I absolutely love. And that's how my second inning started. So it was anxiety, confusion, just following what was going on. But then shadi happened, and then that changed my track. But things have in a way fallen in place, and I'm in an absolutely good place right now. Yeah.
Excellent, and that is so well put through. It's because your retirement was pretty early.
Yes.
That is
Yes.
when most of the people start picking up, and when you actually retired.
Exactly. And my peers were like, kya karegi tu? I'm like, exactly, kya kar? I mean, because they all were like, got their big masters and, the salaries and, packages and all those talks were going on around me. And I was like, I'm done. What am I going to do? So
Yeah,
that was a lot of anxiety, but luckily, I pushed through it
yeah.
somehow. Yeah.
So excellent. So just coming to the last part of it is the second thing that you mentioned, that you're working in the sports ecosystem with
Yeah.
NGOs and affair and sports development, all those things. How do you think that? What is your dream, or what is that you want to do to give back or to develop the Indian sporting ecosystem, and what is your current role?
Yeah, so I am currently working with Simply Sport Foundation, and I am the program head for women initiatives. The goal here is to, and my mission also, I think. Just a background, like before this, I worked with a small foundation called the Art of Play Foundation, and we work with government schools. We try to kind of get physical education into government schools in a more structured kind of a way. And I was developing curriculums for them and working with the children on the ground. I thought that was very important to actually understand what you want to change. I mean, just sitting in
Right.
a room is not going to help me. I think I realized that very quickly. So I realized that I had to go onto the ground and do the work to understand ki ho raha kya hai. Because what I understood was that India is a very difficult country. I mean, Mumbai ka problem is not Pune ka problem. I mean, the
Yes,
culture, everything changes.
agree.
So I think all of that kind of prepared me for the role that I'm playing today with SSF. Because what I've realized, and seen this in the government school culture and the teachers and everything, is that just the participation of girls in sport in India at the grassroots level, especially, it's really bad. There is a lot of, I mean, patriarchy hai, there is safety issues, there are a lot of issues there. But just the fact that, and it's not just actually at the grassroots level, but in the sports ecosystem in general, right? Where are the women? I mean,
Yeah,
I'm trying to, I mean, of course there are it's getting better, but we still are very underrepresented everywhere.
yes,
When it comes to the IOA, when it comes to our federations, when it comes to umpires, coaches, all of the support staff, women are just not there. And we are 50% of India,
yes.
so I'm like, come on, I mean, we need more women, because the point of view with which policies are made, or the point of view with which a classroom is designed, it is all being designed by men for women, and it's never
Yes,
going to be the same as women for women, right?
correct.
So we need more women in important roles, rather than not just as athletes, but even in the ecosystem in general. So with Simply Sport, that is one of the major missions, I think, to get more women into the ecosystem. And the way we want to do it, of course, is to start with a very research based approach. We are in the next quarter, we are hoping to start that research at the grassroots level, to understand the problem a little better, rather than just saying ki ye problem hai and solving it. I think we need to understand the problem better. So that's where we are, and that's also one of my major goals, with
Right.
other things. But I think the most important goal I'm working towards, getting more women into the ecosystem.
Interesting, and I more power to you
Thank you.
with doing that, and I think we'll see the results very soon, and
I
it's a
hope so.
journey.
Fingers crossed.
Yeah, it's
Yes,
a
it's a
journey.
journey.
Yeah, and with your experience as an athlete, to somebody who's working on the ecosystem, what's your message to all the, I'll say first, girls out there who want to be athlete, or the parents out there who are confused about their girls or their boys' sporting career. So, what's your message to them?
I would say, for athletes and for parents, both, I think, the first thing is that do it only if you love it. Otherwise, don't do it. And when I say do it only if you love it, I just don't mean the training part of it and the nutrition part of it. I actually mean the competition part of it.
Yeah.
Because what we have to understand, and when I coach a little bit now, so I tell the parents the same thing, that not every athlete or every girl or boy enjoys competition. So
Right.
I think it's important to love that, the whole part of sport, and not just a part of it. And if they do enjoy that, then I tell the parents that they enjoy competition, then don't worry about the results. They will come, because if they're working hard and they enjoy competition, the results will come. So that is one thing. The second thing is to always have academics as a part of your career. That is something that I tell, and I hear these stories a lot, that the students come and say ki kyun karni hai padhai, I mean, why is it required? Sachin gave up when he was in the 10th standard, and he did what he did. But Sachin, and I mean, come on, let's not let's not get confused, because I mean, of course I would love for you to become a legend, but if you don't become a legend, you are going to be stuck with nothing. Absolutely. And in India to or bhi it's difficult, because we are not a sports country right now. So the second and the most important thing for both parents and athletes is, yes, play, but also study with it. Keep that track going always, and don't give me this story that there is no time and I'm too tired. We all did it, and we all became national champions. We all studied with it, and and we did what we did. So there is no excuse to that. So I think, yes, for any young athlete, love what you do and only then do it, and please keep the academics on board. Never leave that. Yeah.
Excellent. I think that is very important. And I think without me driving you towards that answer, I think it came very well, because we always talk about the importance of education for an athlete, because it's not only about the plan B or what next. It is, I think, the education helps them being a better athlete, and it to take the right decisions on the field. At the same time, the being athlete helps them in education to become a smart worker.
Totally. So, I mean, we don't need a time generally as a normal student, because we're so used to concentrating, and it's easier for us to study, actually. So there is no excuse.
Yeah, interesting. So Aditi, I think this was wonderful to listen to this whole story, your great determination, working towards the women in sports and getting more and more girls in sports, or increasing that, and the second inning. I think it's wonderful journey. Be it number one, number two. I think what comes out at the end of the day, I think it is wonderful product for the growth of Indian sports industry. And thank you for doing that, and keep inspiring so many people, so many girls and athletes around you, and wish you all the best to make change in the Indian sporting ecosystem.
Yes, thank you so much, Siddharth. I think I need all the wishes. There's a long road ahead, and I need all the, all the wishes and the right people around. So thank you for this opportunity. Thank you so much.
As we say, we all in together. So yes, let's make it happen.
Yes, let's make it happen. Totally.
Thank you. Take care and stay safe, Aditi.
Thank you. Same to you. Bye.
Thank you for watching. Thank you for liking, and thank you for sharing. But please do subscribe on our channel, Sportsy Says, and help us spread the word about Sportsy. We go with the same handle, Sportsy Says, across all the social media platforms as well as podcast.